And here we are, babes, we got a YouTube. I've been on TikTok for the past 4 years, but here we are. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the sit the fuck down tarot reader. Am I too close? By the way, don't mind the lighting on this. I can't get the application I need to control the light myself because I have a fucking MacBook, so we're just gonna roll with it. Like I said, for those of you who don't know me, one, I have ADHD, bad. But I'm the sit the fuck down reader on TikTok who turned to love readings and about 900 other things. And I, especially as of recent with the whole TikTok ban, have been getting an overwhelming amount of, how could you not predict us? How could you not predict this? I chose to take a step back so that I could be efficient, unlike a lot of the astrologers that we saw on the platform who are kind of running around in some frenzy of a spiral and just throwing shit out there. This is called strategy, babes. So the point of this video is to kind of go through, and this honestly might be a long video, the breakdown of these next 4 years, because I have taken this massive step back over the past couple of months, more so ever since the election, to kind of process through, channel, and unpack everything. For those of you who don't know, because I don't think that I've actually been very public about it, I don't have much room outside of doing readings on TikTok to talk about this, but my style of mediumship is very center focused around, embodiment is what I'm going to say. So like, for example of this, I could randomly want to move to, this random city I've never thought of before. And I could wholeheartedly start researching and looking into it. And out of nowhere, a massive event happens in that city. Or I'm like, ooh, I want to, look at Nissans. Like, I want to look at Nissans. Obviously not sponsored. And I start researching and blah, blah, blah. And then there's a massive recall. Like, I don't understand why it happens that way. That's just how I channel as a medium. So I've been taking a massive step back ever since understanding these, this whole technique over these past couple of months. And I've been channeling through everything. And what's funny is, and I'll insert a screenshot maybe somewhere here. It shows the date at the top, some of, my predictions that I've been writing. And some of these things have already come true. And so I'm like, okay, maybe it's time to stop sitting on this and to actually be public about it. If it's not things like that confirming it, then it's other creators. More specifically, there's an astrologer. I don't know her exact name. I'll link her Substack in the description of this video. But it's something along the lines of like World Oasis astrology or something like that. And she came out with a video just now going through the astrology, and it not even fucking joking, down to the detail described what I've been channeling. I'm like, okay, I need to be public about this. So we're gonna go through it. Right off the bat, if we're being fully transparent, for I know that there's a lot of speculation going around like, oh, Kamala's just gonna step in at the last second, or she's gonna be our no, she's not. I could tell you right off the bat, she's not. From a mediumship perspective, right before the election, a lot of my friends, like, because I do have astrology friends and stuff, have been asking, like, who do you think? And I kept silent with it because it was not my place. As I start losing my voice, as I was going to say this, take that as you will. I didn't feel like it was my place at the time. I do think that there's a very large, very grand plan with a lot of the things that are unfolding politically. So in regards to my standpoint on mediumship and who's going to be president, I think we know. I think it's pretty clear. The inauguration's tomorrow if you're seeing this on the 19th. And so this is, I've just, believe me. Okay, we're back. Sorry, ADHD brain. I'm gone. If you see just random cuts throughout this video, it's because that's what's happening. So overall, I want to start with I'm not going to say smaller things, but the more positive note of things. This has been more so recent, like last night recent that I started channeling this. But when we are focused on more so Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, because that's also going to be a part of these next 4 years. I think that we know that, seeing how large of it, they've been implemented into everything politically. I can't help but feeling, and I kept hearing the word like subaquatic, and I kept having this vision of, it was one continuous vision. And I think that this started about a month ago, but it's been carrying through over this past month, is I saw this rocket ship go up in the sky and whatever, and it seemed to like implode, is the word, not implode, but explode. Yeah, because boom. And this rocket ship exploded, and there was a bunch of bits just raining everywhere. And now that I saw that video of like a satellite that had done that, like in this vision, I also saw a submarine, and I kept thinking Elon Musk over and over again. I don't know why. And we're all on the same page when, because SpaceX, he's out in space, he's exploring things. I can't help but feeling that at some point over these next 4 years, Elon Musk is more than likely going to start an initiative or try to initiate a large project that is centered around exploring the ocean. And I think that there's going to be a really big, like out of the box way that he tries to approach that could in some way, shape, or form ruffle some feathers. And to me, I don't know why, but it keeps, like, I'm channeling through my intuition. It's 922. I don't know why that number could be significant for some reason. I'll attach the definition of that number here. But it feels to me like this out of the box way of approaching this project with Elon Musk is, like I said, it's going to ruffle some feathers, but it feels to be very taboo is the word that I keep channeling it. You know, I keep feeling like it could interact in some ways with environmentalism or could have some really big, like, oh my God, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. So I would just take that as you will. I don't want to focus too much on that specific thing because there's just so much to cover. And so with Elon, it feels like he's trying to, it's very territorial, his approach over these next 4 years. It feels like there's a want to explore, I'm not going to say dominate, obviously we know that's a part of it, but to explore and see how truly far we can push the limits with our physical and materialistic things. But with Mark Zuckerberg, things feel very digital. More specifically, it feels to me like there's going to be a large focus from Mark Zuckerberg on AI and AI integrations. I really wouldn't be surprised if he revisits previous projects like the whole metaverse thing or tries to go in and find ways that he can implement AI to create something algorithmic that might be a little more accustomed to something or what's the word? Comparable to TikTok. And I think that there's going to be kind of this weird AI war. I don't mean that in a big bad way, but there's going to be kind of this domineering, I want to have the biggest, best thing possible out there. And I want to create this fascinating technology that everyone's just obsessed with. And I think that a big reason for that is seeing that there wasn't any control that he could truly dominate or take with this whole TikTok ban thing, because we know he's been lobbying and this and that. And so it feels like his ego's a little bruised and he's wanting to chase the next newest, biggest thing that people can become obsessed with. And so I really wouldn't be surprised if he works a lot with those AI integrations, like I said, to try to create something dynamic and rich that we haven't seen before. And I think that there's going to be quite a lot of failure and a lot of backlash with that. But what's funny is that it kind of strikes me similar to the whole TikTok situation when, you know, it first started becoming popular and everyone's like, oh my God, I don't want to use it. And here we are today. And so whatever this project is or this initiative that started regarding AI and AI integrations is probably going to be something that we do actually see carry into the future, or does have quite, it might not be the biggest thing like TikTok is, but it's going to be around for a while. It's not going to be a failed project or something that just kind of gets thrown out the window like the whole metaverse idea was. So that's something very, very worth mentioning. Now, here's the thing. This is the portion of the video where we do start getting into some heavier topics. So just keep that in mind. Now, over this past, I want to say 2 weeks specifically, I have been absolutely obsessed with self-sustainable lifestyle type things. Like, let's make my own sourdough. Let's start prepping. Let's make survival kits. Let's make that. That is not in my nature. I am a very technologically advanced person. I mean, this setup, I know you guys can't see it, it's insane. Look at the light. If you guys have been seeing me move around, you could probably notice that. And so that's just something that's worth mentioning. And I took a step back, and especially after seeing World Oasis's video on TikTok and even reading through her Substack, it makes so much sense. There's this element of needing to be prepared, not in the case of like, that's later down the line in this video, like war or chaos or possible disruptions to, you know, certain things like our power grids, which could very well happen. We'll talk about that in a second. But I do feel like there needs to be some type of initiative with the way that we prepare ourselves, because I'm not going to be surprised in any way, shape, or form if we are confronted with situations, especially with like mass deportations and stuff that are going to start happening the second this man's in office. We need to start preparing. More specifically, with this intuitive channeling, it felt very focused around things like food. And not so much, obviously the economy is going to be hit pretty hard, but food. And I wouldn't be surprised if with things like tariffs that were being mentioned or just overall economic collapse that I'm sure is going to, and that's just common sense outside of mediumship, is going to, you know, ensue over the next 4 years. We need to be prepared for that. So I do wholeheartedly feel like over these, especially now, if you do have the opportunity or the resource to start preparing, you know, if you have you need to get a first aid kit, you know, a go bag. Make sure that you are 100% settled into a routine outside of technology for a little bit. In the case that that's important, especially if there is a lot of overtaking or overpowering politics, keeping it simple, with certain platforms, we might have to take a step back from social media for a while. Because at one point in this process of channeling, I felt like I needed to just separate and completely detach from it, like I couldn't be a part of it. And so that'd be a great time to do so. I even found myself the other day, I bought a flip phone because I wanted to separate from social media. And so I would encourage you to make sure that you have that, like a food ration. Think back to the pandemic, be smart about it. Don't go buy out all the fucking toilet paper, but make sure that you're prepared. Do we have food? Do we have masks? Do we have specific cleaning supplies? Do we have this? Do we have that? Do we have a radio? Do we have a med kit? Do we have alternate communication like walkie-talkies? Like these feel like very important objects that we need to have. It's also worth mentioning that there's going to be a very big, like self-sufficiency and being able to depend on ourselves over government or overall external resource is so fucking important. So like knowing how to sew, knowing how to grow your own foods, like these are things that I took an obsession with. I want to have my own sourdough, this and that. And what's funny is I think that collectively we pick up on these things. We just don't know how to interpret it. Like when we saw, and funny enough, I saw a creator, I definitely don't know her name. If you guys do, please put it in the comments, but she mentioned that fashion also follows political trends. Like when we saw the old money aesthetic become ragingly popular all over TikTok, like blonde hair, very clean cut, traditional style, like things that we would traditionally see in a very Republican traditional type of relationship, like, man works and the woman stays at home. Like we were seeing these things in society already, and we're seeing it again. Everyone wanted to make sourdough starters. Everyone wanted to do this. Everyone wants to learn how to do these things, or how to, or everyone wants to get a library card. Like that's for a reason. Which leads me into our next statement. I do think that having readily available resources in regards to knowledge over politics, over mental health, over history especially, and even, spiritual concepts, if that's something you follow, from astrology to mediumship, is going to be increasingly important. So like having an external flash drive with a bunch of saved history books and stuff, or music, is also going to be very important. Now, the biggest thing that I really want to focus on, and this is something that we're going to channel as I go, because I have not gotten enough information on this, and I've been trying to hold back because I didn't want to sound stupid, but World Oasis specifically mentioned this, and it was crazy to me. I'm like, I got chills everywhere. Texas is going to be important for fucking something. I don't know what it is, but at some point in these next 4 years, Texas is going to make headlines. Texas is going to be this massive thing. With the way that she described it, and funny enough, based off of everything that I've been channeling, she felt as if there was going to be like Texas being impactful for like a collapse of food resource or a collapse of economic status or socioeconomics. Like Texas was going to have a major collapse of something that would directly being the key word here, impact the structure of everything else in the US. And I've been channeling Texas. I'm not even joking. I was planning a move, and then intuitively, I kept feeling like I needed to stay here. Like that was the worst thing that I could do for myself. And it like this impending doom that came. And this is not to scare people from Texas, truly. I'm not here to fearmonger. But there is going to be something critically significant to this entire, and I do feel political in some way, this entire political narrative that's unfolding over these next 4 years. So this is just me pointing out now, like, hey, this is going to happen. In the same way that, once again, you guys don't actually have to believe me on this part. Truly, I encourage you to be skeptical overall of mediumship. It's just what I do. Don't believe any of this until it happens. Just keep it in the back of your mind, right? And please, I forgot to mention at this beginning, if this shit starts coming true, I swear to God, my followers on TikTok, I'm pointing at you. Y'all better not be the people who go into the comment, like with the wildfires in California. You guys should go check out, this medium's video. She predicted. Don't do that. That is insensitive. It is disrespectful, and it is disgusting. We don't do that here. If something like this comes true, especially with what I'm getting ready to talk about, y'all keep that shit to yourself, okay? When I first moved into this house, I think about 3.5 months ago, I had this extreme fear that the house was going to catch on fire, and I couldn't describe it because there's literally no reason. The electrical is up to date. It is far away from other houses. I live in Missouri. That's just not something that happens very commonly, especially in my city. And I was terrified by it. And then, I'm not even joking, a day before the wildfires broke out, I posted a video, and in the example, I was like, a great example of this, this topic that I'm talking about is like, if your house catches on fire, the universe is someone's gonna pull you out before the fire gets to you, or if your neighbor's house is on fire, it's gonna go somewhere else before it hits yours. And that was the example I used. And so I knew that something with fire was going to happen. And I don't know why this is so overwhelming to me, but I kept getting visions of strong disruptions with large bodies of water. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a massive influx, like more specific. I mean, I kept seeing a vision of massive waves, but I also kept seeing tornadoes in separate context. The water thing, I don't want to focus too much on, like Florida, blah, blah, blah. We know those things, just be aware of that. Like I said, a lot to cover. I don't want this to be like a 2-hour video. But tornadoes are so fucking significant. I don't know what, I don't know where, I don't know when, but I do think that there could possibly be tornadoes in places that we don't typically see them, which also really wouldn't be surprising. I'm not a meteorologist, but with the polar vortexes we've been getting already, the 2 since the beginning of the year, and the massive storms and stuff, I wouldn't be surprised. There was a snow-nado. There was a fucking fire-nado with the wildfires. Like, this is going to be a reoccurring thing. So I would also pay attention to that. Like I said, this is a mess. This is a mess. Okay, and we are back. I needed to take a little inhaler break, if you get what I was saying. So the picture that I inserted at the beginning, I'll insert it here again. Hopefully my fat head's not in the way, because when I do integrations like this, my head usually is. You can screenshot this. Like it says, I'm reading it off my laptop as well. I wrote this November 6th, 2024 at 10:01 p.m. I haven't touched it since, so y'all know I'm not fucking lying. I'll even record a video and put it right here so that you guys know it's not edited. The breakdown of this is where shit gets a little hefty, but also very promising. My biggest thing, now we're focusing on the spiritual community, especially on social media. I wholeheartedly feel as if there's going to be a very dramatic shift in spiritual leadership, because we've already been seeing it, like as creators like myself have been blowing up again. Alex reads tarot. God, I love her. I love her. She is amazing, guys. Go check her out if you haven't already. But we're going to see a lot of new spiritual creators, especially in the astrology community. Now, I, due to NDA purposes, cannot talk directly about who this applies to, but I had a vision, and this person was in it. I don't think that this has directly anything to do with this person. I think it's an overall theme of what we can expect. But more so in the astrology community, I got this vision of someone, and their mouth opened up large, huge, scary movie huge, and locusts started coming out. And to me, if we look at and I promise you, y'all, this is not going where you think it is, so bear with me. In biblical context or spiritual interpretation context, locusts symbolize truth and major deconstruction. And so what I see, given that the person in this vision was an astrologer, I think that we're going to see a massive upheaval and deconstruction of the astrology community over the next 4 years. And I think that a lot of that has to do with the way that we are moving into an age of technology and AI integration. And so a lot of astrology hasn't been modernized. And so we're going to find that a lot of astrologers might not actually be pinpoint on the money, or we might find that with astrology, there's a lot of bullshit or a lot of misinformation being spread around as things become a lot more complex, and those astrologers aren't learning these new techniques or these new applications for modern day society because they don't know how to interpret it. And so I would urge you to be extra, on the money. Did you hear that notification? Again, I'll take that as a confirmation. It's going to be something that you need to be extra cautious with. Make sure, like, for example, World Oasis, I don't know much about her. I have not looked a lot into her, so obviously do your own research, but something in my heart of hearts intuitively tells me she's an amazing person to follow along with. Very small on TikTok. I think she has like 80-something thousand followers, but seriously, if her astrology is confirming everything I've been channeling over the past couple of months, it is an ode to both of our work. So I do want you guys to look into her, but just make sure you're being extra cautious. Now, when it comes to tarot readers and stuff, like I said, you're going to see a major increase in different leaders. A lot of the readers and the people that you used to follow in the spiritual community probably aren't going to have that platform for much longer. I do expect there to be a massive upheaval with that as well. So, specific tarot readers, I know that I've fallen guilty to this as well. A lot of it is algorithmic, sadly. You guys know in my personal work, that is not something that I do, but a lot of readers who have only learned how to integrate love readings, and who wholeheartedly stand in the knowledge that they are leading people astray. Now, that I'm not doing. I'll talk about that in a second. But people who are only good for love readings is what I'm saying. I don't see them having a platform for much longer. There's so much truth coming out. There's so much truth coming out with the age of Aquarius, and so especially with other planetary alignments like the Sun conjunct Chiron that we had last year, and the total solar eclipse marking the beginning of a lot of this upheaval. This is a big time, y'all. Anything that's been hiding that like directly impact, like if I say, for example, was lying about readings or just doing a horrible job or spreading misinformation with my readings in a way that was not intuitively correct to what guides wanted me to say, that would be brought to attention. Or if astrologers were lying or hiding things or not being fully truthful, that is going to be coming to light. It feels like there is a truth, like a torch-bearing showing of everything that's been hiding behind the scenes. So don't idolize any creators, myself included. Now, what I was saying with the algorithmic situation with TikTok, if you guys have done any personal readings with me, or you knew who I was before I started doing love readings and stuff, you know that just like generally I was the sit the fuck down and I called you out. That's my style, that's my vibe. If you guys have been seeing, I'm slowly integrating that back in so that I can have the platform I have and have the reach that I have, but it's a game of strategy. So you guys are going to have to be patient with me, because at first it was just love readings, but now it's love readings and daily message. And every so often it's love reading, daily message, and a message throughout the day that's something that you actually need to hear. So be patient with me. Interacting with and actually sticking through those videos helps dramatically as well, so that the algorithm isn't just pushing those love readings, right? You can't feed into the very thing that we're trying to fight against, which is just delusional spirituality and love readings. So make sure that you're not just interacting with those. And if you actually need to hear something, you actually sit down and listen to it in the same way that you would bear attention to it, is what I'm saying. So anyways, moving forward. I wrote verbatim, and I quote, "The leadership that is coming into power starting now are individuals who have seen both sides of the story and have a quiet history. We should not expect the same people to hold power as before. I am more specifically talking about certain spiritual creators. There's a reason for certain astrologers, readers, and mediums there's a reason that they're unable to tap into everything that's been going on. That's why certain astrologers were incorrect with their predictions with the election. Certain mediums have been incorrect time and time again over these past few months in a way that maybe they weren't previously. It's for a reason. It's like the universe is shutting a veil and going, you are not moving into this next era with us. Because they lived out their purpose. They served that very divine meaning. So just keep that in mind. Now, when I said that leadership is coming into power starting now are the individuals who have seen both sides of the story, I'm talking about everything. And this is when I'm fully transparent, very vulnerable with you guys. I've seen both ends of the spectrum. And once again, humility, honesty. I've seen both sides of the political spectrum. When I was younger, like 13 to 15, I was very far-right Republican. Where I live, they throw Trump parades. That is how I was conditioned. That's what I was thrown into. That's not where I stand now, let me tell you. I've seen it, and I was pushed into severe evangelical Christian trauma, like the Leviathan spirit burned my hair out my sleep and God's gonna teleport us to France to serve for the US. That type of delusion. And I didn't believe that, but the cult that I was sucked into did. The people who literally worship Trump and call him Trumpy poo and things like, yeah. But I've also seen the other side of that, the extreme far left version of everything, where everything, and once again, we're going to be honest and humble about all aspects, where things are always a problem and everything is an issue and you have to confine yourself to a bubble and be perfect, which I do think that when it comes to the more democratic side of things is very common occurrence. We have the lack of filter and the extreme anti-everyone of the right, and we have the extreme perfectionism and everything needs to be perfect and put in order and everyone has all of the behavior. And so I've seen both just as much as I've seen the extremes of what's the word I'm looking for? Okay, hold on, I got this. Monotheism and the extremes of polytheism, and found delusion in both. And the extremes of loving and giving everything to people and not giving enough to people. I've seen, that's what we're gonna see a rise of, or people who have seen and experienced all of all on both sides of what's happening right now, so that they have the perspective and the wisdom that we're looking for. And so if someone is speaking up on something they haven't experienced, especially with politics, I would be not skeptical to an extent, but just once again, do your research. It's kind of like this, okay, I know what I'm talking about because I've experienced it. It's kind of the you don't know until you try it type of thing. Like, yeah, that's where I'm coming from, essentially. So expect a lot of that. Oh yeah, the dream I had about a fire tornado. Okay, already talked about that one. Mid to end November, that's doesn't apply here. May be very significant, but may not pose an outcome everyone is looking for, which was about the TikTok ban. And I said, it feels as if the first domino is getting ready to fall. Something is being set into motion around that time. And it was. That's when everyone started kind of freaking out, and everyone's like, okay, we're taking this to the Supreme Court. Funny enough, I think that right around that time is when the Supreme Court thing was starting to be pushed, and they were, things just weren't working for TikTok. And I said that was one of many dominoes to come that were going to fall into place for something much larger. And we're still seeing that today. Now, there's a massive collective renewal happening. A lot of dark energy is being brought to the light. Anyone who continues to participate in negative schemes will fall victim to a trap the universe has set for them, which we've also been picking up collectively, but we've been misinterpreting as Kamala is throwing Trump into a trap and then he's going to get arrested and she's going to take credit. That's not happening. Yeah. So once again, if there are people around you who are doing shady or sketchy or stupid shit, just keep in mind that keeping a distance from them is going to be extra critical over these next 4 years, because this is not just a current energy. This is something that will continue. Damn, we're almost at half an hour with this video. This is something that will continue very deep into the next 4 years. Make sure that you are associating with the right types of people, because we are at a point in time where I wholeheartedly, both from a personal opinion standpoint and a mediumship perspective, believe that you are going to have to choose what side of history you are on, either the ones that are actively working against the people, the one who are rising to fight for the people, or the ones who are sitting and doing absolutely nothing, because there are karma for all sides of this equation. So do keep that in mind. So if you're doing negative shit and thinking that you can get away with it, Karma's a bitch, and she exists. And especially with the age of Aquarius and so much that's been going on astrologically, keep in mind, it will bite you in the ass probably sooner than later. So not focusing much on that. Y'all are accountable for yourselves, so make sure you're doing the right thing. People to surrender for a brief period of time as things shift into place. I think that honestly, this specific interpretation, this specific prediction applies right fucking now. Because like I said, I didn't feel like I needed to post it right when I wrote this. It felt like it had a time, like, a specific era that it needed to be announced, and now's the time. Encourage people to surrender for a brief period of time. If you feel as if you are extremely overwhelmed, or you don't feel as if you really have much say in everything going on, it's okay to breathe. You're going to need that. Like I said, if anything, focus on you and focus on preparing. If you listen to your intuition, it's going to tell you everything you need to know, like me with the preparing and, learning how to sew and not starter kits, med kits and stuff. Even with my Jeep, I was going to deck it out and get like molly packs and med kits and stuff for it. Like, this is something that you can do. And like I said, it's going to be for a reason. I'm just going to lay that out there. Full 100% honesty, wholeheartedly embody that. It's going to be for a reason, but you don't need to be scared for it. Especially if you're seeing this, it's for a reason. Your guides led you here, you're protected, right? So, and then I said, I believe, this is where things get fun. I said, I believe things and structures will begin to dismantle themselves as we watch them fail or fall. A lot of the Republican agenda specifically, this applies to the entire government, but specifically in this context, will over time begin to self-destruct without the direct push of the Democratic Party or anyone else in between. And what I mean when I say that, we already started to see it a little bit, like right after Elon got really up Trump's ass, over this whole election thing leading up to the inauguration, they were getting fed up with each other. And it got to the point where Trump was like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like, I have power. And I do think that we're going to see a lot of that. In a lot of ways, we're going to see power-hungry people kind of fighting for more, and that kind of blows up and they blow up on each other. But we're also going to see a whole lot of, and think back to, I don't know why this reference just came back, but other points in history where there might have been oligarchies or certain specific people in power who were doing oddly specific, I'm not going to say it because guidelines do still apply on YouTube, but the man had a mustache, and Germany is all I'm going to say. But, you know, some people are going to go into this like, oh, yeah, this is who I definitely wanted to vote for. And then later down the line, the deeper and darker things start to get over these next 4 years, they're going to realize no. And so they're going to start losing power. Things are going to start to dismantle itself. So, you know, speak up, hold your fucking torch, stand in your truth, protect and preserve through all of this. But don't directly go after, obviously, once again, you get what I'm saying, okay? So, the last one. I see major influences in the Republican Party starting to turn on or even betray each other in the pursuit of their own personal agenda. Now, I think that this is definitely going to apply with more social media-oriented things. Like Elon versus Mark Zuckerberg. I think that things are going to become, now with them specifically, like I said, I don't see that being the most prominent example. Quite honestly, it might not even stand because Elon has such a physical, tangible dominance that's applying over the next 4 years, whereas Mark Zuckerberg seems to have more of a, what's in the cloud? What can we not see, but what can we experience on a technological scale? And so that's going to be interesting to watch play out. It could even be, you know, things like certain social media platforms collapsing or things becoming very heavily dominated. Like it's not a, oh, well, we have this, and this app. We only have 2 social medias that are really big, or no one else uses these. Like it feels like certain smaller platforms are falling out and just completely becoming irrelevant. And we are hyper focused on these super large, domineering capitalistic platforms like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, you know, very mainstream things. Things are being simplified, and that's for a reason. And now for this specifically, what I've just now channeled is that the purging of all of those background apps and social media platforms is like, it's to throw us all in one room. And I think that Pluto and Aquarius, what I just channeled, has a big part to play in that. So if we had 500 social media apps that were popular, now we only have 5. And that's so that we're forced to all sit with each other and we all have to deal with it. And it causes so much tension and so much that everything starts to just blow up and kind of blow apart so that we can that's what Age of Aquarius, you know, Pluto and Aquarius, that's what it's all about, deconstruction. So I would be aware of that. Now it keeps popping up. I'm going to channel this as I go, like I said, because I don't feel like I did enough justice at the beginning of this video. Elon Musk in the pursuit of some type of development with, you know, exploring the ocean, projects, initiatives around large bodies of water, possibly even technology. That's what I was channeling last night in the car ride home, and I got so many chills and it felt like I was, you know, hearing directly from the divine. I would not be surprised if Elon starts working, like, say, for example, with Tesla, you know, the whole electric car thing. I wouldn't be surprised if there are advancements with, like, submarines or submersible equipment for ocean exploration or for things of sorts. And like I said, I feel, because Greta Thunberg just popped into my head. I wouldn't be surprised, like I said at the beginning, if there are a lot of negative environmental consequences to this, whether it's in the production of this new technology or it's in the way that the technology directly affects the ocean. But I do think that we should be very hyper aware of this. And I do think that this is something that we should take seriously. I kind of feel intuitively like what we're going to do is it's going to be mainstream and everyone's going to be, oh my God, and then they're just going to move on to the next trend. Let's try to make sure if we're seeing that in this community that we're being proactive with this, and if it is a true problem that we're speaking up about it and that we're trying to push and keep this as active as possible. Because I feel like this is in some way, shape, or form a universal test where the universe is going, hey, are you actually going to stand with this? Because if not, you know what's going to happen? Everything's going to fall the fuck apart. We saw it happen with TikTok. No one thought that the TikTok ban was something to take seriously until the last second, and then we didn't have enough resources to make this shit work in our favor, and now things are starting to fall. So when it comes to that environmental impact of this new ocean-based initiative project, large body water Elon thing, and it's hurting our environment, if we don't take it seriously, I do feel as if it could have a very negative long-term impact on our environment, possibly even things like climate, or possibly, socioeconomic status just came through, possibly something like finances, homelessness, disruptions to cities or towns, whether it be, like I said, production or the project itself. So please do bear that in mind. It's going to be something very important. So that was my first. I'm going to continue over these next 4 years to channel things as they come through. I mean, I do plan on being very, very active on YouTube, on Substack especially, guys. I know that that's not a mainstream platform, but on Substack, I do want to take advantage of that and use that as an opportunity to post daily energy updates because I am a writer. I love writing. I'm losing my voice, as you can hear. And I want to take that as an opportunity. So my Substack, my TikTok, and you guys are already on YouTube, and my Instagram will be linked in the description. Check them out. They are all targeting different things. TikTok is for tarot. Substack is for energy updates and overall written content and written mediumship. And my Instagram is a lot more personal, absolutely. I will not be doing a lot of tarot readings there, but you might find that they're sporadic energy updates, like what I'm doing on YouTube, but they're a lot more, short form content and such. So make sure that you follow me on all of those. And like I said, I do plan on being very consistent with YouTube for more long-term content, long form, because I think that that's what we need. So this is going to be a mix. I will say that it's not just going to be these types of videos or mediumship. I might do fun things to keep the mood light and airy. But yeah, so I know that y'all got this, and we're going to get through this in the next 4 years, sweetheart. Okay. But other than that, babes, you got this. So keep going.